This video is about zombies, and more specifically, it's explaining what works and what doesn't work in zombie stories. This is, of course, my opinion, but it's pretty well tested, I think, and proven. Okay, so the big issue with zombie stories, especially today, is that they all are trying to do something different. And of course, you want to do something different when you're doing something, but with zombies, you really can't. And the biggest problem is people are trying to go past the initial outbreak and tell a story about people surviving in a world full of zombies. The issue is that in that world, zombies become secondary to, they're just like another everyday problem, and then the real villains all along were people. And at that point, when the zombies become secondary and it's no longer a zombie story, you've really lost your niche, and it's just another story about shitty people doing shitty things. You know, it breaks apart the magic of the zombies, you know. Night of the Living Dead doesn't do that. It's about zombies all the way through. And the most successful zombie movies and stuff are all about, of course, the outbreak. And there are other reasons for that, but a big issue is this whole obsession with people were the real evil all along kind of thing, because it's just, you're taking away the draw of the thing, which is the zombies. You know, if I want to watch people being shitty, I can just watch a slasher movie, I can watch some disturbing shit about a serial killer. I don't need shitty people in a zombie apocalypse. Another issue with the whole living with the zombies thing is, and this is the big part of the video, the outbreak is always going to be the most interesting part, because you're seeing everything cause society collapse, people's family members and friends are dying left and right, there's zombies everywhere, there's chaos, there's fires, the cities are still standing, people are driving, and it's just a chaotic, nightmarish mess. It's always interesting, and there's limitless possibilities to explore in how people are going to deal with that and respond to that and react to that and try to survive through it. It's always interesting, it's always compelling. No one ever gets sick of seeing that story be told. But people have definitely gotten bored with the newer idea. A big example of that being The Walking Dead. I watched the first 3 seasons of it and then had to drop it because it was just becoming the same thing over and over and over again, where we're sitting in a place and we're staying there and then it gets overrun and then zombies overrun it and we have to leave and go somewhere else, and it was like rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It just got fucking boring as shit. I didn't know how people could still stand to watch it. It just got so fucking boring, and that's the point. The zombies became secondary to people. You know, when I last watched it, there was the governor. Who gives a fuck about this dude? It's a fucking zombie apocalypse. But they've built walls to keep the zombies out, so we need someone to bring in a fucking armored vehicle to break down their barriers so the zombies can come in. It's just stupid. You're stealing the thunder of the zombies. And again, when they become just another part of life, it's so boring and monotonous, you can't do anything with it. There's no chaos, holy shit, they're zombies, you know? They're just people, like, oh, here comes a zombie, and they just sit there and wait for it, and then hatch it in the head or whatever, and boom, it's over. That's boring as shit. You can't live alongside zombies. It's just not interesting, because they're essentially playing the role of any predator out in nature. It's just boring and ugh. The Last of Us, I guess, is an example of a thing that did it well. Kind of. Because at least in that series it makes sense, kind of, that, well, I'm kind of all over the place with this. The fungus thing makes sense. It's grounded in reality. There is a fungus that turns ants into zombies. It could one day transfer over to humans. And them being around kind of works. Another reason, though, that you can't live alongside zombies is that if zombie apocalypse happened, they would only really be around for about a year, because in winter, when winter comes, they're gonna freeze and succumb to frostbite because their blood isn't moving, and they're gonna fall apart and die. Weather is gonna come, and fucking storm winds are gonna rip their decaying flesh apart. They're gonna get picked up by winds and thrown around. Zombies aren't gonna make it past a year, at least not 90% of them, you know. And California, Arizona, places without winter, maybe zombies could last a little longer, but then the heat's just gonna increase the rate of decomposition, isn't it? Zombies can only decompose for so long until they are decomposed and can't move, until their tendons and muscles have fallen off and they can't fucking move. So, again, going back to Walking Dead, this whole, we've been living in a zombie apocalypse for 5 years, it doesn't work. Zombies won't survive through winter. In The Last of Us, they might with the fungus, because I don't know how the fungus thing works. But even then, I would say probably not, because, again, the muscles and shit is just going to rot away. It reminds me, when I was like 10 or 11, I was going through an obsession of watching shitty sci-fi movies, and this is around the time when they made Sharknado, and I thought, because they were doing all of these types of things where they had like lava spiders and Sharknado and something else, just like 4 years ago or 2 years ago or something. They had the zombie tidal wave. I thought when I was a kid it would be cool to see a movie like that. It's like a zombie apocalypse, but it's called like Hurricane Zombies, and they're in a hurricane, and the hurricane comes through and just starts blowing the zombies everywhere, or maybe a tornado or something. Because those are real things too, and those would kill zombies. I thought that would be a funny premise to a shitty B movie or something. But yeah, there's just too much shit. The zombies aren't going to stick around for more than a year. That's why the whole living thing doesn't work. The only thing that's interesting is the initial outbreak. Again, seeing people's response to it, the reaction. Night of the Living Dead is fun to watch for that reason. Dawn of the Dead is interesting to watch for that reason. Shaun of the Dead even is interesting to watch for that reason. Train to Busan is interesting to watch for that reason. 28 Days Later, it's bordering. It borders being a zombie movie, and it borders the whole initial outbreak or going on for too long type of thing. Because really, they're just infected with some kind of rabid rabies disease. Yeah, you will find so many more examples of the initial outbreak story, and that being far more interesting than just live. Because how many people have dropped The Walking Dead at this point? I don't even know if it's over. I know they have a few different spin-off series, but who really cares to continue watching it, you know? Because it's gone on for too long. It's not interesting. The allure of the zombies has completely been stripped away. And they aren't decomposing at a realistic rate. If 90% of the population gets turned into zombies within a few months, in 2 years they're all going to be dead. So there is no more apocalypse. They're just going to become a minor inconvenience once in a while. To get off of that, another issue I have with zombies is when they're made too intelligent. I give the early ones like Night of the Living Dead a pass because it was just becoming explored as a concept. But zombies really need to be as basic motor function as possible. And what I mean by that is they shouldn't have a sense of balance. They shouldn't know how to grab. You can reflexively grab something, but they shouldn't, grab a tool or grab a doorknob and twist it. They should know how to operate stuff. They should know how to climb. Stuff like that, because it's just goofy, and if it's a corpse that doesn't think, then of course it's not going to have these sensibilities to do these complex things. And I've seen different, it's been all over the place. The Walking Dead would sometimes have intelligent zombies and sometimes it wouldn't. It usually just depends on the franchise. Going on to the sense of balance thing, that's why I don't like zombies that sprint. When zombies sprint, I think that's ridiculous because they would fall over constantly because they don't have a sense of balance. They're just going to be throwing their entire body at something wildly and they're going to fall all the time. So I know a lot of people don't think the lumbering, slower zombies are necessarily scary, but that's realistically the only way that I think they would ever be able to stand up. Assuming it's the classic dead zombie. If it's a parasite in the head and that maybe you have another argument, but if it's a virus that resurrects a dead corpse, then no. There's no reason for them to be running and climbing and doing all this crazy shit. I recently watched the Netflix series Kingdom. I thought it did okay with zombies. Interesting concept. It had brain worms. They bordered on being too intelligent. I thought it was an okay depiction. Better than Train to Busan. Train to Busan is a wonderful movie, but its zombies aren't very good. They're really over the top fast. There are scenes where they just collide and explode, and it's kind of ridiculous. Well, like 28 Days Later, kind of. There's only a few zombie anime, but they actually tend to be pretty good at having slow, lumbering zombies and making them threatening and not making them too intelligent. Zombies should be blind. They're often blind in the few anime I've seen. Zombies should be blind because you don't have your blood flowing. I'm pretty sure you need your blood flowing to be able to see out of your eyes. Yeah. Honestly, if zombies were a real thing, I think they would probably just kind of flop around on the ground like fish more than anything, because, again, they shouldn't have a sense of balance. So just moving for them, they should just fall over constantly, and it's not like they can pick themselves up because that's a complex movement. So, yeah, if zombies were 100% realistic, they wouldn't be threatening, so it's hard to make them threatening, I guess. But if you're a creative enough writer, then you can do it. I've seen it done. Again, I go past The Night of the Living Dead. It was the first of its kind. The first zombie picks up a brick to smash a window, and yeah, it's goofy and unrealistic, but again, it's the first of its kind, so I'm not gonna beat it up for that as I would a more modern movie or show. Asian zombies, there's one thing that's interesting, that the Western take and Eastern takes on zombies are somewhat different sometimes, especially in Korea. The Korean zombies are always have something to do with light and darkness. In Kingdom, they're afraid of light because it gives off warmth. In Train to Busan, they just couldn't see if something was in darkness. They would become docile. It's very interesting. Because, you know, in the West we have all kinds of different stuff, but no one ever seemed to... Well, I guess video games have done that, haven't they? Where if it's night, zombies will become ballistic and become faster and more violent. I guess that's been done. Just not in the same way. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah. Zombies, if you're going to make a zombie story, they shouldn't be intelligent. And you don't really want to go past the outbreak because there's nothing interesting to see at that point. At that point, the brunt of the conflict is over. The threat of the zombies is already understood and it's gone. You've lost, 90% of the mysticism and fantasy of it. No one wants to see assholes being assholes again in a movie. We don't need to see some asshole rapist in another zombie thing. It's just unnecessary. If someone wants to watch about zombies, they want to see zombies. They want to see people dealing with zombies. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. And hopefully the zombie media will continue to move in that direction.